Like, choose discomfort over comfort. Choose purpose over pleasure. Choose duty over desire. And as you do, that comfort zone gets so big, soon the walls fall down and all of life is your zone.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business. But launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuillian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
Welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the Fitness Franchise Podcast. And we have an incredible episode today. Before we get into that, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So here at the studio, here at Fit Body Bootcamp headquarters with my co-host, Mr. Bedros Keuillian himself.
Hello, hello.
B, welcome to the show. And for this episode, since we're in the coaching business, wanted to shoot an episode just on the value and the framework of our coaching. And the three aspects of coaching that really come to mind are fitness coaching, business coaching, and then the third aspect of mindset coaching, which really is incorporated in both effects. But before we get into that, specifically from a fitness coaching perspective, and B, I've learned this from you, like the difference from a trainer versus actually from a coach. So why don't really define what a true coach is and the value they bring?
And I think that's a really good starting point, Bryce, because a lot of people can wrap their head around this. If you think about a personal trainer, whether one that you've seen in the gym, maybe you've worked with before, or even a personal trainer, like a trainer that an athlete has. An Olympic level athlete has, a strength trainer, a speed trainer, etc. All these trainers that help them get stronger and faster, more flexible, whatever their specialty is. But then they also have a coach. And the difference between the trainer and the coach is the trainer is the technician. They know the technical stuff. Like a personal trainer in a gym knows that the bicep inserts here and originates there. They know the adenosine triphosphate system, the ATP system, and they know how the three types of carbohydrates break down in your body and get stored by the liver and then overflow into the muscles, and then from there it will overflow into your adipose and fat tissues. A trainer knows all the technical stuff, right? A coach knows how to get Bryce to do one more repetition, to go 5 pounds heavier on that squat, to get him in one more time this week for that workout. Knows how to read Bryce's energy and vibe and go, hey man, everything all right? You seem a little out of focus, and snap you back into that headspace where you're going to get the best results from that training that you're going to do. So the best coaches are trainers who have the ability to understand and inspire and move their client or athlete to an outcome. You think about there was a video that I saw, I think it was maybe 3 Olympics ago, 2 Olympics ago. This athlete was running like it was a sprint, and he was almost at the end of his, like gonna cross the finish line, and pop goes the hamstring, and you see him grab the hamstring, and when they show it in slow motion, you could just see the hamstring tear right off. And immediately the coach goes running out, gets under his arm, and the athlete's crying because like 4 long years he's been training for this event, and it all just went to hell. The athlete's crying, the coach is crying, and they're holding each other on that track. And I'm like, that's a coach.
That's a coach.
That coach knows the innermost movements of that athlete's mind and attitude and personality and sleep patterns. And whereas that same athlete's strength coach probably knows how much that athlete squats and their range of motion and their joint flexibility, but isn't necessarily going to run out there and get under that young man's arm and carry him off both shedding tears. And so the coach is someone who has this protection over you and wants the outcome for you as much as you want it. Whereas a trainer is someone that has the technical skills, and as long as you're in the best operating condition, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, like they will go, hey man, here's the thing, do it. They'll train you. But to coach you is a very different animal. And I think that is the differentiating factor when people go, hey, why is Fit Body Bootcamp so different? Like, how come you guys are able to pump out results for clients like, 20 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds plus? Like, because we don't train our clients, we coach them. And if we just trained them, it would be that 30 minutes when they come and work out at a Fit Body Bootcamp 3, 4, 5 days a week. But we coach them the other 24 hours of the day by helping them understand what emotional eating is, what triggers emotional eating, what you can do when your willpower is fatigued at the end of the day. Because in the morning we have strong willpower, and we can avoid that donut and that bagel and that jar of peanut butter. But in the evening, that same donut, bagel, and jar of peanut butter all of a sudden is more tempting.
Isn't it?
A coach is able to talk to the client and go, hey, here's the emotional triggers. Here's what emotional eating looks like. And here are the things that diminish willpower in the evenings. And then the client goes, oh, got it. And that's where results come from, is from coaching and not training.
Incredible point, B. And when I think of you specifically, because you've been my coach for years now, nearly a decade, I think of two things. One, you're an incredible world-class marketer, and then number two is you're an incredible world-class coach. So you're certainly welcome. And on today's episode, I want to kind of highlight the framework, at least my framework, that I've learned and kind of made my own from you. So we'll kind of go through that in a second. But before we do, as you elaborately describe the difference between training and coaching, I'm in the strong belief that any skill, including coaching, is a learnable skill. So you can learn that, right? But there has to also be something factory installed from a DNA perspective. What makes you that world-class, incredible coach? And not just you, the other coaches that you've seen.
Yeah. Like when I think about people like Ed Milet, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, like there's a common denominator amongst them. And I've had the good fortune for people to go, hey man, you have that it factor like they do. And I go, what is the it factor? And the best way I can describe that is the give a shit factor. My give a shit factor is high for the people that I serve. And I don't even look at it as I'm coaching them, I'm serving them. The moment that you are under my control in terms of you've given me money to get on board with our franchise or to get business coaching from me, or maybe it's the project and we're doing kind of life coaching, whatever level of coaching it is, like I'm serving you now. And I am as in as you are, and some of the conversations are going to be the kind that make your butthole pucker because they're going to be uncomfortable conversations and very direct and brutally honest that you're not going to necessarily get from other mentors or coaches or whatever, but that's because the give a shit factor is high. Like when you see Tony Robbins sweating up a storm and yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs to the point where, the week after any one of his 4-day events, like Unleash the Beast Within, the man lost his voice. It's because he puts out so much energy that he literally imposes his will on that individual to get the results, not through motivation, but through inspiration, compassion, and caring. And I believe that when people see how much you care about them, for many people, it's the first time they've actually been cared for and served for. I know like our mom and dads who raise us, for the most part, they're serving us, they're changing our diaper and feeding us and doing all the things that necessarily we can't do on our own. But you can't really remember that as a kid. Outside of that, when you think about it, no one else was around to serve you. Like no one else was around to serve me. And I've had the good fortune to have great coaches in my life. And I'm like, oh, this is what servitude looks like. This is what great coaching looks like. And so the give a shit factor is, I think, the differentiating factor between great coaches and people who just can go, hey, here's how you market your business and grow it. Here's how many sets and reps you need to do and how much protein, carbs, and fats you need to do to lose the weight. Well, yes, if I was a robot and the economy didn't change and I didn't have any limiting beliefs in how much money I can make, marketing that way and using that sales script would work. But I'm not a robot. I have emotions, I have thoughts, I have fears, I have insecurities. I've been told that I can't make it in life, that I'm supposed to be a fat kid, that I'm supposed to be broke, I'm supposed to live in Section 8 housing my whole life. And so all these things play in my head, and a coach can take me to that promised land. But a trainer or a technician, they really can't.
B, dude, just reminding me of a keynote story, and you probably don't remember this. I think I've shared this one time before, but talking about the give it shit factor, and also the quality of the coach being able to be a straight shooter and really make that butthole pucker at times. And you probably don't remember this, but I think this is a solid 6 years ago, and I was on the verge of launching my third location at the time in San Marcos, which is a city in North County, San Diego, which you lived. And we're at a mastermind event with part of our Fit Body Bootcamp brand, and we're doing a hot seat, which is basically just individual coaching within a group setting on what your biggest obstacle bottleneck is and how to execute against that. And actually, there was one other owner that was talking about TI and being that their investment was very high, and I was just literally got a quote from my contractor to build this the facility out, and it was way higher than expected. So my thought was, okay, well, let me take a step back and figure out, well, how can I actually potentially do some of this work myself in order to reduce that cost. And as I was elaborating my plan, you, boom, just like that, threw your hand on the table, like shook. Everyone stopped, and you're like, Bryce, I have taught you better than that, my son. And I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, if you actually take a step back and actually decide to execute your marketing, you're going to get 10 times more clients, okay, which you've done 2 times before. You're just having a moment of weakness right now, and that way you can cover the contractor expense and actually start way ahead from a financial perspective. And I stopped, and the room kind of got silent, and then as I walked to the bathroom touching, I was like, holy shit. But as much as I was caught off guard for the moment, for the first time, and I'd been business coaching with you, I think for about 3 or 4 years at that point, I took a step back and been like, you know what, I had a moment of average for a quick second. But number 2, not only does the guy give a shit about me, but he actually believes in me that much that he can talk to me that way because he holds me to a higher standard than I perceive maybe some of my colleagues. So it was at that point that I decided to take action and whatnot. But that was a really big eye-opening experience for me. And I think just kind of circling back, the give a shit factor and the fact of just shooting you straight is just foundational to being a great coach.
I remember that moment, and I remember it viscerally hurt hearing you say that, like it would have hurt if my son Andrew said it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like my brother here, and I didn't know you as well then as I know you now. Like that was some 6 years ago into our decade plus now of relationship. But and I think every coach, while coaching can be developed, the give a shit factor, I believe, does come with time. Like the older I get, the wiser I get, the more patient I get, the more I start caring for my flock, if you will. And I think that's just kind of how the world works. But it is a gift to have the give a shit factor factory installed. Like that piece, I'm very thankful that is factory installed in me, and I've been able to nurture it bigger. But like a good coach needs to be able to do that because, hey, look, you got 2 other locations. So what if you decided to have a moment of average and try and cut corners or do something yourself? You would have ultimately made it, but that would have reinforced a bad habit, a bad behavior in that you are the visionary. You were supposed to think it and then delegate it and not execute it. And each time we execute something that is below our pay grade or zone of genius, we begin to reinforce that bad habit. And so to me, it hurt, viscerally hurt, as though it would have hurt as though Andrew and Chloe said it. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. And those who coach with me know. I've also turned away plenty of coaching clients, like turned off plenty of coaching clients who are like, oh, you can't talk to me like that. Okay, cool. Like that's fine too. Like I don't know how to talk to you in any other way because I love you so much. If I over love you, I'm sorry. And it's worked for me. But I appreciate you trusting me with that.
Oh yeah, it was incredible, and it just really came to mind from that segue. But aside from that, before we go into the mindset coaching piece, which is my favorite, B, I want to lend your ear and get some feedback on your framework. When you're sitting down with a client, and my framework in coaching, whether it's a coaching client in the fitness aspect or a business coaching client, is threefold. Number 1, you need to identify who you're wanting to coach. Okay. Okay, you have to know with like complete clarity who you want to serve. So that's the first aspect of being a good coach and starting a coaching business for me. The second one is when I ultimately attract that particular avatar or that dream client. Then when I'm sitting down with them, the first thing you do is you're asking them questions about where they're currently at. You need to really get to know them, even sometimes better than they know themselves, and really from that perspective get an understanding of their desired outcome, which is really the result, and then create some metrics behind it. So that's the second thing you need to do as a coach. And the third is really the accountability aspect. And you mentioned about the trainer being able to kind of prescribe, but it's the coach that actually holds someone accountable and holding coaching client accountable. So for me, whether it's a fitness coaching client, whether a business coaching client, those are the three kind of dimensions that I go through and be able to provide coaching. I'm curious for you if you can elaborate on your process.
For me, it's not much off other than I would probably put a 2.5 in there. So, identify the avatar. Like I know specifically the type of people I like to coach. I like to coach type A driven people who are impatient. Like that, because I'm that way, and so I can connect with that person. But the person who's like, I just want to grow slowly and hug a tree on in my progression as I grow, it's like, oh, cool. I can refer you to someone, but that's not me, because I'm going to go bananas, right? So I like type A driven people who especially have businesses or are doing something that's going to serve humanity. I love like impact driven businesses. So I know my avatar really well. Defining the outcome very much the same way. Like I need to know like what is the outcome that we want. The 2.5 before we get to the 3 is then I ask why. Like, why do you want that? And one person that comes to mind is a Fit Body Bootcamp owner. And this person was like, B, I've been on board with Fit Body now for 2 years. I've got one location. I'm about to open up my second. I can't wait to have 10 locations. And the old version of me, like from a decade before, would have been like, oh, cool, 10 locations, awesome. And guess what? At the time, I was the CEO, you weren't. And so the CEO in me wanted to go, woohoo, he's going to buy 8 more. He's about to do a second one. He's going to get 8 more. But I was like, hey, why? Can I just ask why? I was like, well, 10 locations, man. Like I've made it. I'm like, how much money do you want to make from those 10 locations? And he very quickly figured out that if he could just make just over $1 million, like he's good, right? I was like, you know what? 10 locations means 10 different leases, 10 different landlords, 10 different sets of teams, employees. Let me tell you about Stephen Hadley. And of course, I went on to tell him about Stephen Hadley. Daphne, Alabama, certainly not the fitness capital of the world. One location does over $1 million a year because he's got singularity of focus on his Fit Body Bootcamp. He knows exactly how to market, how to sell, how to communicate in his community. He knows their biggest fears, frustrations, and desires that the clients have. He knows how to get them and how to keep them and how to get referrals from them. And because of that, he is generating over $1 million a year with that one Fit Body Bootcamp location. What's really neat about it is he only has one lease, one set of employees, and all of that. Now, of course, this person I was talking to pointed to Matt Wilbur, who has 10 locations. And it's like, I want to get there. I'm like, keep in mind, Matt Wilbur has locations that are doing nearly $1 million a year. So if your goal is only $1 million a year, like you can get there. You can get there with one location, 2 locations, maybe 3, if you are not looking to really go all in on that one location. But 10 locations, is that really now if he was like, look, I've always wanted to manage a lot of people and I wanted to have like a giant team, I would be like, 10 locations it is. And if you do, 1.2 million or just over $100,000 a year per location, guess what? You'll be making the kind of money you want. Yeah. But the truth is, when you ask why enough, some people will end up going like, oh, so what you're telling me, the ego always wants to lead with a big number of like, I've got 10 locations and 73 employees. Okay, you can't take either one of those to the bank. How much money do you want to take to the bank so that you could support your family, give yourself the lifestyle and freedom and security and the experiences? It's like, oh yeah. Like when people go, hey, how big is Fit Body Bootcamp? How many employees do you have? I don't know. Somewhere between 30 and 50. I really don't know, but I know our numbers and I know how much we take to the bank and I know how it influences. Like, I love hearing that you just bought a house here closer to HQ. I love looking out the top window and seeing newer cars parked in the parking lot. I love seeing the money that the people in this building make, giving them a better lifestyle and freedom and access, and us getting a 401k where we match that stuff. Number of employees and the square footage of my building, and none of that can be taken to the bank. And so by asking why enough, same with, by the way, fat loss. Well, why do you want to lose weight? I just want to lose weight. And then I've dug enough. When I was a personal trainer, I would dig enough with a client, and well, my high school reunion is coming up. Oh, tell me more. And I literally remember a woman, Diamond Bar, California. She was a personal training client of mine, broke down and started crying. She was wanting to look awesome in a little black dress to the guy who not only rejected her, like heard in high school. So it was her 10-year reunion coming up. When they were in high school, he heard that she had a crush on him, and in public went and said, hey, I hear you have a crush on me, and something to the effect of like, don't even think about it. We're never going to be an item, and that's that. Just completely rejected her in public. Ew. And that was so devastating to her. She just wanted to show up as bam, like, look at me in this little black dress, and I'm in shape, and I'm lean, and you could have had this, right? And some might go like, well, that's not it. That's a stupid reason. No, it's not.
Not for her.
Not for her. If that's her reason why, it's good enough. But when I first asked, why do you want to lose weight? I just want to lose like 15, 20 pounds to be in better shape. I knew being in better shape and having 6 months to get there, there's going to be days that are too cold in the morning for her to want to come, and she's too sore to want to come for another workout. Hey, do you remember how you want to be in better shape? That's not a good enough reason. Hey, do you remember that we got a certain number of days before you're going to see that guy, and we don't know who he's going to have on his arm, but you need to look much, much hotter than whoever he's got on his arm. She was in there every day. She was on top of her diet, on top of her mindset, and the reality is that became the gateway drug to a whole bunch more happiness in her life, because it wasn't that like that was the outcome. Mm-hmm. That was just like the launch pad to the next best version of that lady. And but you know, people tell me like, you know, because I've done podcasts where I've been interviewed, and they go like, and I'll literally say like, a lot of my success is driven by rage, just anger at just showing people that I can make it. I'm not that foreigner who lived in a Section 8 housing, didn't speak the language. Like, I don't have to be that guy. I am an American. I am a citizen now. I am this, and yes, I dropped out of college, but I can still be successful. And so there's a lot of people I want to show. That's okay, because I then take the money that I make and I do a lot of good with it through Shriners Children's Hospital, Toys for Tots, Compassion International, sharing it with our team, etc. And so, like, a reason why is very powerful. And then finally, going back to accountability, that piece is very important. And the accountability is almost automatic once you have peeled the onion of the reason why deep enough that they just hold themselves accountable. They just, it's literally no effort on my part other than reminding them that thing.
Yeah, it's great. It's so insightful, and the parallels to fitness coaching and business coaching, I mean, they're there, or life coaching in the case of the project. All right, I want to segue here to, as I kind of teed off, the mindset coaching, because that's an important piece in any layer and any aspect of any coaching business. So for me, I really have, over the last probably 2 to 3 years, really dug into Stoic philosophy and Stoicism. And I always say Stoicism can be cold, but it's the philosophy of the successful. It's about embracing the suck. It's about knowing that you need to do hard things. And it's really actually about understanding that the obstacle is the way. So there's 4 aspects of Stoic philosophy that I really buy into, and that virtues, I guess, that really I share with my coaching clients. Number 1 is courage. In order for you to have a tough mindset, you need to be courageous. You need to develop that. And that's, again, a virtue of Stoic philosophy. The second is justice. You have to be fair. And we just shot another podcast episode about doing the right thing. Okay, and that is ingrained in the justice component, if I can say that correctly. The third, and honestly, B, this is what I struggle the most with personally, is the temperance, which is basically moderation, if you will. But I've actually reframed it to composure, having good composure, because I have the rage in my eye and the fire in the belly, just like you. And that's a superpower in many ways.
Sure.
But I'm an addict, and whatever I do, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol in my past, whether it's work, whether it's getting results, whether it's business, I'm an addict. So temperance is a hard thing for me to accomplish. However, I've reframed myself, and composure is the way I look at that. And the last is wisdom. And from my perspective, you just need time under tension in order to kind of gain that wisdom and clarity. And for me, when I'm coaching either myself, because in order for you to be a great coach, you need to be able to coach yourself, and you need to be able to lead yourself first and foremost. In addition to your coaching clients or a team of people, you have to have a strong mindset. And that's the framework of Stoic philosophy that I use to coach myself and to coach others.
And that is a very powerful framework, by the way, and template to go by. And mindset is a defining factor. At the end of the day, if someone has any kind of limiting belief, it operates as a glass ceiling where you could see the other side where you want to be, but you kind of press into that glass ceiling, which is called upper limiting in psychological terms. You upper limit. You've hit your upper limit of how much money you can make, how fit you can be, how many compliments you can take before you like kind of wince and go away and like, hey, stop it, and start kind of downplaying yourself. We all have an upper limit somewhere, right, in different areas of life. And the mindset is what's going to free us, because if we can be courageous and just and have composure and wisdom and have done the mental work to break through the glass ceilings that are there, we will reach our goals more effectively. However, if our mindset is still a 5, 6, or a 7, but our goals are a 8, 9, or a 10, we'll never get there. Like a 5 or 6 mindset will never achieve a 7, 8, 9, 10 goal or outcome. And so I think yet another thing a great coach does is they very quickly are able to sniff out the mindset challenge and work through their client, their athlete, through that mindset component that is going to be the limiting factor. Like, why is it that, the same coaching that I would give you that gets you to open up multiple locations and then you become a business partner and take the CEO seat here at Fit Body Bootcamp, during that same era, there was other Fit Body Bootcamp owners who just didn't, right? Well, they had 2 arms, 2 legs, very competent, very similar IQ, et cetera. But when they attempted to do the marketing, the selling, the step, and they hit a roadblock, which, going back to the obstacle, the roadblock, the obstacle is the way. They looked at the obstacle as a sign from above. They looked at the glass ceiling as this must be a sign that this isn't for me. You understood it as, this is a sign that I'm on the right path. And that's the different mindset determines. You hit the obstacle, you go, I'm clearly on the right path because I know that the obstacle is the way. The next person hits the obstacle and goes, this is the big man telling me this, I shouldn't be doing this. And the only difference between you and that guy was mindset.
Amen to that. Well, thank you, first and foremost. Now, on that same thought, B, how do you develop? How do you to develop that mindset? And there's a few ways. We were just at Suckfest 2, which I want to talk about, which is basically an incredible event. We ran over a marathon, 28 miles, did nearly 4,100 reps, took me 9 hours and 33 minutes in a band of like 60 people on site. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Suffering is one way to increase your mindset. Another thing, and this is actually going back to Stoic philosophy, which is journaling and being in touch with yourself. Therapy being another one that you've mentioned recently. Yeah. So it just kind of hit on a few of those. What other ways that you can develop your mindset? And then kind of going back for a circle, I want to get some insight on why you developed Suckfest and really the outcome that you're looking to accomplish.
Yeah, that's a great question. So how do we grow our mindset? How do we grow in those 4 categories that we talked about so that we can either break through the glass ceiling or raise the upper limit, right? The upper limit is always there. Like even Tony Robbins has an upper limit. He is constantly working to raise it so that he's always chasing it versus pressing up against it, right? And so, well, how do we do that? And you nailed it. Adversity, physical suffering is one key to that door. Another key to that door is journaling. Another key to that door is therapy. Going to an actual therapist who can help you, give you that checkup from the neck up, and help you overcome and process through the traumas that you've had as a kid, that we've had as kids, that kind of paint our current narrative. Like, we've talked about this before. I was sexually abused as a child. Between the ages of 4 and 6, I was sexually abused. And that changed, almost put these filters on of distrust on me, that I wouldn't trust anybody. And then also put this other set of filters on that I was not worthy of happiness, of good things, because I'm broken. I'm not worthy of it. And so how exactly are you going to be a successful husband, a father, entrepreneur with those filters on? And if those filters are on, the thing that got you there, you can't get you out of it. So you need an expert, a coach. Great therapist is a great coach to help you unstuck yourself. And then, of course, meditation is yet another key to that door. So there's many different keys to the door. Unfortunately, unlike a great marketing funnel, like if I said, hey, Bryce, here's an ad, and here's the actual picture you're going to put on with that ad on Facebook, and then here's the website with the copy and the funnel already made with the offer. And then when you run that ad, spend $200 a day on Facebook and target, women aged 28 to 53 within 5 miles of your gym, and send them to this webpage. Like, that's a formulaic process. Like, check, got it, B, and you can go behind your computer and put your credit card in, $200 a day, bam, you're getting new leads, and off you go. That was pretty quick. Mindset, unfortunately, is not a light switch. It is a dimmer switch, and it is a very slow-moving dimmer switch, because there's many layers to this amazing human being that we are. And as we peel the onion and go through the layers and understand why we did things, and like if Dad beat us and said we were bad, you grew up thinking that you're a bad kid, only to realize once you have kids, they're supposed to eat their cereal halfway, and there's going to be a little bit of milk on the table, because that's how a 3-year-old eats a bowl of cereal. Dad was just pissed because we kept running out of money, because we were foreigners to this country, and that little thing set him off. But I wasn't a bad kid. I realized that in my 30s. But all the way up to my 30s, to the time that I worked with a therapist, I felt like, hey, if Mom and Dad said I was bad, obviously I'm bad. Like, Mom and Dad said I was bad, I'm bad. Like, you can't refute that. It's irrefutable. No, man, they did the best they could with what they had. And so mindset, for that reason, is a dimmer switch, and we have to work on every capacity. But whether it's journaling, whether it's doing hardship and hard shit, and suffering and adversity and meditation, working with a therapist, all those things are keys to many different doors that improve the mindset. The real answer is you got to get out from the center of your comfort zone. All of us want to hang out in that center of our comfort zone. It's safe, it's predictable, we know that place. May not be desirable. You may be there in a crappy relationship with a crappy business, in poor health, and you might be broke, but it's still familiar. So it's safe. It's safe. What if you were to just lean into the sides of your comfort zone? I'm not even saying take that leap out. Just lean into the different sides of your comfort zone. A little bit of meditation, a little bit of journaling. Maybe you read a self-help book. Let's not go to therapist just yet. A self-help book written by a good therapist. Maybe you decide, instead of going to bed when the sun goes down, you do what we did last year. The sun went down, and instead of going to bed, we started hiking at 4:45 p.m. on December 5th, 2020. We started hiking the hills of Chino Hills here. And we decided we're going to keep hiking until the sun comes up the next morning at 6-something in the morning. We covered 37 miles unprepared in 13 hours. Like, that was pretty cool. We did something that most people don't do, and that gave us a new level of confidence. And confidence leads to competency and gives us this sense of, like, if I did this, what else can I do? And that is leaning into the sides of your comfort zone. Like right now at home, we have a hot tub, me and the wife and the son and the daughter, we go in the hot tub. But I also was like, hey, Chloe, go get the meat thermometer from the kitchen for a second. And I reach into the pool. I was like, holy cow, 49 degrees. We're in a 102-degree hot tub. Just over the edge, 49 degrees. Family, you know what we have to do.
Jump in, baby.
Jump in. And we're in there for 120 seconds, right? Which is 2 minutes. And I count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and we're just all there, not, by the way, up to the arms, not to the shoulders, but to the jugular, where you feel the brain freeze. And we do that because all of a sudden it's uncomfortable. Why would we go from there to there? Because when we went back in the hot tub, every single family member had a little smile on their face.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what do you feel right now, Chloe? She's like, if I do that, I could do a lot of other things that are out of my comfort zone. Yeah, exactly. It's just leaning into the side. Like, choose discomfort over comfort. Choose purpose over pleasure. Choose duty over desire. And as you do, that comfort zone gets so big, soon the walls fall down, and all of life is your zone. No more comfort, because discomfort becomes the norm, and you begin to operate so well in discomfort when a pandemic year comes, like the coronavirus, when devastation happens, and as humans, there's always going to be devastation in life. You'll be able to handle adversity and devastation, whether my mom got Alzheimer's disease, or Aunt Betty died unannounced from cancer, or a pandemic happened. You will handle life's stresses better when the walls of your comfort zone have expanded or completely fallen.
Amen to that, man. And props to you for 49-degree water. I did a cold plunge today at 53 degrees, and I thought I was going to die for
Isn't
a
it
quick
horrible?
second. But you know what? You got out and be like, dude, just stack those wins, build more confidence, toughen that mindset, B.
Yeah.
Well, my friends, this was an awesome episode. Whether you decide to open a Fit Body Bootcamp, being a coaching business, the fitness space, or any other coaching business, wanted to add some value, provide some content on the value of coaching, our framework of coaching, and really the big impact and income that you can derive from running a coaching business. B, anything else before we sign off today?
No, that's it. And I think the biggest challenge would be is that everyone find yourself a cold pool, or even just a cold shower. Tomorrow morning, maybe you wake up, and instead of turning it on to hot, you just leave it at cold and take yourself a cold shower and just see how that resonates with you throughout the rest of the day.
And when you do, drop that in the comments. We'd love to hear back, and rock and roll. Well, B, that was awesome. Friends, I know you got value today. As always, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Write us an awesome review on iTunes, and that way we can keep producing this content for you for free. Aside from that, we'll see you in the next episode.